Well, now you have it. Chief Justice Roberts is all upset with President Trump because he's daring to speak out against lawfare or judges who are extending their jurisdiction. It's amazing. Where was he before? Where was anybody before? Chief Justice Roberts, his rebuke of Trump, this rebuke. Never before in the history of American juridical has we ever seen the rebuke. Oh my God, hide the children. What you do about nothing? The president has every right to be furious. And let me explain something to you. Get it through your head that the president's correct. Let's cut through the noise and get to the heart of the matter. Today, at what time? At 2:13 p.m. Eastern Time on the 18th of March, Chief Justice John Roberts issued a rare public statement rebuking President Trump for suggesting that a federal judge, James Boasberg, should be impeached over a recent ruling blocking deportation flights. This comes after Trump invoked the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, which people say, well, that's ridiculous. That's an old law. Well, it's not as old as the Constitution, and we still abide by that. He used this statute to tackle what he calls a dangerous influx of Venezuelan gang members, and he was right. Members tied to Nicolas Maduro's regime. So Justice Roberts, in his what some say sanctimonious tone, declared that this is a quote, for more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. This isn't disagreement. This is a complaint about overstepping reality and basically being one of these leftist woke folks hiding some crypto judge. And he has every right in the world to do it. Excuse us, Your Honor, but this selective outrage smells like a bit of a setup, and here's why it doesn't matter, and why Trump has every right to be steaming mad. First, let's rewind the tape. President Trump has endured an unprecedented barrage of legal warfare since stepping into the political arena, from Russia hoax to two impeachment trials, both of which collapsed under their own weight. Anybody complain about that? No. Any rebuke from the bench? No. All to a slew of criminal indictments that mysteriously evaporated after the 2024 election. Any rebuke from that? No. Trump has been dragged through the mud by a politicized justice system. Where were you, sir? With all due respect, may it please the court, Chief Justice Roberts, during this relentless assault. Silent as a church mouse. Not a peep when Trump faced gag orders, defamation suits, and a judiciary that seemed more interested in kneecapping his agenda than upholding the rule of law. Now, suddenly, when Trump fires back at a judge who's throwing a wrench into his immigration crackdown, Justice Roberts finds his voice. This looks less like a principled stand and more like a convenient cudgel to smack down a president who's winning, both at the ballot box and in the court of public opinion. Now let's break this down. Trump's call to impeach Judge Boasberg came after the judge halted deportation flights authorized under a law Trump believes and is correct in believing gives him the authority to protect American citizens from violent criminals. Boasberg's ruling, based on a technicality about an 18th century statute or whatever, has infuriated Trump and his base, who see it as yet another example of an unelected judge overstepping their bounds to thwart the will of the people. Trump's Truth Social post said, quote, "This judge, like many of the crooked judges I am forced to appear before, should be impeached." Bold-faced, capitals, exclamation points. It was raw, unfiltered, and reflective of a man who's had enough. And a country, may I add, who's had enough. And who can blame him? After years of being targeted by what many call a weaponized deep state, Trump's frustration is not just justified, it's a rallying cry for millions of Americans who feel the same way. Now, Justice Roberts' rebuke hinges on the idea that impeachment isn't the right tool for disagreeing with a judicial ruling. Okay, fair enough. There's a process for appeals, and historically, impeachment has been reserved for egregious misconduct, not mere policy disputes. But let's not kid ourselves. The judiciary hasn't exactly played by the rules when it comes to Trump. Take the 2018 clash when Trump called a judge an Obama judge after a ruling against his asylum policy. Roberts stepped in then, too, with his "we don't have Obama judges or Trump judges" line. Noble words, but they ring hollow when you consider how often judges appointed by liberal administrations have ruled against Trump with questionable rulings and reasonings, only to see their decisions upheld by a Supreme Court order that, under Roberts' leadership, has occasionally bent over backwards to avoid decisive conservative victories. You know, this selective silence from Roberts is deafening. During Trump's first term, when federal judges issued nationwide injunctions against his travel ban and border wall funding, remember that? Where was the Chief Justice's defense of judicial independence then? When progressive lawmakers floated impeachment threats against conservative justices like Clarence Thomas over alleged ethical issues, claims that never materialized into formal charges, Roberts stayed mum. Yet now, with Trump's base energized and his administration pushing a bold and brave and beautiful agenda, Roberts swoops in to lecture the president, to rebuke him. It's hard not to see this as a political move, timed, interestingly enough, to undermine Trump at a moment when his immigration policies are gaining traction, when we're winning. You see, the establishment narrative paints Roberts as a guardian of justice, but a closer look suggests he might be more of a referee who only blows the whistle when it suits the liberal elite. And let's also talk about the stakes here, okay? Trump's invocation of the Alien Enemies Act is a bold play to secure the border, a promise that won him 2,750 counties and all 7 swing states in 2024. It's kind of something that we all sort of agree with. And the American people voted for a person, a leader, a president who take on the cartels and gangs flooding our streets. Gangs like TDA, which Trump rightly ties and connects to Maduro's tyranny. Judge Boasberg's intervention, blocking flights that had already deported alleged members, isn't just a legal hiccup or an oops. It's a slap in the face to voters who demanded action. Trump's anger, his fury, isn't unhinged or baseless. It's the righteous fury of a leader fighting for his mandate against a judiciary that seems more interested in protecting illegal immigrants and aliens than American citizens. Am I right? Damn right I'm right. The Constitution gives the House the power to impeach with a simple majority, and the Senate to convict with 2/3. It's a high bar, sure, but it's not off the table, especially when judges act as political activists and tools rather than impartial arbiters. Trump's call for impeachment isn't a legal brief. It's a political statement, a signal to his supporters that he won't back down. And why should he? The judiciary has been a chokehold on his agenda since day one. From the travel ban battles to the recent deportation spat, judges have repeatedly overreacted, overreached, and overruled him, issuing rulings that defy the executive's constitutional authority to enforce laws. Look, if Roberts thinks impeachment is off limits, maybe he should remind his fellow jurists to stick to interpreting the law, not making it. And moreover, the timing of Roberts' statement reeks of, well, dare I say, perhaps coordination with the anti-Trump media machine. Within hours of Trump's post, outlets like Reuters and CBC and Al Jazeera were amplifying, CNN and MSNBC were amplifying Roberts' words, framing it as a historic rebuke. But historic for whom? Not for the American people, who've watched their president battle a double standard for years. During Biden's term, when progressive judges greenlit controversial policies like vaccine mandates, there were no outcries from Roberts about judicial overreach. The hypocrisy is glaring, and it's no wonder. Trump allies like Elon Musk are calling out the judiciary's bias. Musk's endorsement of impeachment as necessary echoes a growing sentiment that the courts need a reset. Okay? And Trump's the man to do it, and they know that. Let's also consider the practical side. Impeachment might be a long shot, but it's a legitimate check on a judiciary that's increasingly seen as out of touch. Only 15 federal judges have been impeached in U.S. history, with 8 removed, mostly for corruption or abuse of power. Boasberg's ruling isn't in that league yet, but the pattern of judicial interference in Trump's policies raises valid questions and concerns about accountability. Rebuke that. And if the appellate process is the answer, as Roberts claims, why has it so often failed to deliver justice for Trump? The system's delays and biases have fueled his frustration, and he's not wrong to vent. Finally, listen carefully, the public's on Trump's side. Poll after poll, those skewed by liberal media, still show strong support for his immigration crackdown. And the idea that Roberts' statement will somehow sway anyone is laughable. It's a feel-good moment for the coastal elites, but let me tell you something. Out in the heartland, where America is, okay, where folks are tired of crime and open borders, Trump's anger resonates. He's not just fighting for himself, he's fighting for them. And after all he's been through, from the Mueller probe to the January 6th circus, a little righteous indignation is the least he deserves. So, is Roberts' rebuke profound? Hardly. It's a performative gesture from a Chief Justice who's been, frankly, AWOL during Trump's real trials. Does it matter? Not to the millions. Not to those who see the judiciary as a roadblock to America first. Trump has every right to be pissed, okay? Pissed. P.O.'d. And with his mandate and momentum, he's got the muscle to back it up. The establishment can clutch its pearls all at once, but the people have spoken, and Roberts' lecture won't change that. Stay tuned, my friend, because this fight is far from over. Now let me ask you something. What do you think? What's your take? What's your belief? Do me a favor, like this video, subscribe to the channel. 80-something% of the people who watch us don't even subscribe. And like this video and hit that little bell so you're notified of live streams and new videos. And whatever you do, my friends, I ask you right now to comment as you see fit.